Welcome back to the show where we run you through all the Dolphins news you need to know about, afternoons of the news you need to know about. We run you through the Fan Q&A where we answer Finns fans' questions. This first news story, really interesting one, comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins left tackle Teron Armstead expected to play in 2024. Although Teron Armstead has not confirmed that he'll be back for a 12th season, early signs are pointing in that direction. The Dolphins expect Armstead to play next season, according to the Miami Herald's Barry Jackson. Now, this is a very controversial thing. And honestly, when you really look at it, it's really hard to criticize and critique this move by Chris Grier. Because out of all the moves that Chris has made, you could make an argument that this is one of the worst ones. Not the worst one, but it's definitely up there. Because if you look at it in the context of everything, he passed on Trent Williams, which was one of the biggest steals in the history of the league, right? Which I believe that was before Tua, if I'm not mistaken. That might have been even a year before Tua. So that one, maybe it wasn't, or maybe it was just right before Tua, or maybe that was the year they drafted Tua. I don't really remember when Trent was traded. But that was a miss. The biggest one to me was Orlando Brown. And he's had opportunities to get younger tackles. I mean, if you look at all the tackles that have changed hands, especially the young ones, it's really strange that in recent years that's happened as much as it has. But, I mean, if you look at the Chiefs or some of the other franchises that prioritize offensive lines, it's kind of annoying when our team doesn't. So there were other opportunities to get other tackles in the past, and obviously he chose Armstead, which you could criticize because of the health, obviously. It's been kind of up and down, and the good news is that he did find Tua a tackle. Was it the right one? That's up for debate. But when he's healthy, this offensive line is obviously much better. And Chris did good. Excuse me. I was trying to fight off a burp there. Excuse me. Chris did a good job of finding insurance policies for him, at least this past season with Kendall Lamb. Now, whether Kendall Lamb will be a Dolphin this year or not is up for debate as well, because he's probably earned a pretty good contract. Because honestly, Kendall, I think, proved that he can be a starter, a decent starter in the National Football League, which that's worth something, especially at that position. It's very hard to find. So it gives me mixed feelings. The other side of it is that out of all of the contracts the Dolphins could get out from under, this is probably the worst one to get out from under, because the dead money is quite large, and the Dolphins would have to pay him money, and obviously that's money that they're not going to get any return from, and that's going to be a pretty big hit to the cap. So it was kind of a thing that had to happen. I'm happy that he didn't retire. And at least, I mean, it's not confirmed from his mouth. He hasn't said that he's coming back for another season, but if Barry Jackson's reporting that they expect him to be back, I don't see any other reason not to. I just hope the Dolphins can get at least 13, 14 games out of him. And I honestly, if I can't get that, I just want him to play the most important games on the schedule. Because every time and every season, I swear, we always lose the most important players before the biggest games of the year. And I don't know why that is, but it continues to happen. It's been happening in recent Dolphins history a lot. And I hope that doesn't happen this time, and we at least get him for the bigger games. And we'll see what happens. They're going to have to somehow come up with a physical plan for him to where he doesn't get hurt. And I think they've obviously tried to do that. Hopefully, they can figure something out with him. And they're going to have to, I could see them maybe even the second round, if there's someone that they like, maybe they try to get someone that they can learn from, they can kind of sit and learn at that position. I hope they don't do that. And hopefully they can somehow get Kendall back. But yeah, it really depends on how you feel about Terron Armstead. I think most of the Dolphins community is kind of down on the whole situation. But when he does play, he obviously is a very good player. And I hate to make this comparison, but he is like a much better version of what the Brandon Albert deal was, if people remember Brandon Albert from the Chiefs. Very similar background, but Terron is a much better player. And when he's healthy, he's a great player. Unlike Brandon Albert, who's played kind of teeter off at the end there. But similar kind of deals. They got to stay healthy. And hopefully Armstead can do that this upcoming season, because he is a great player when he's healthy. This next news story comes from Pro Football Rumors. Dolphins release defensive end Emmanuel Ogbah. This is not a big surprise at all. He just completely fell off. It was a very easy contract to get out from under. It saves the Dolphins money. And yeah, he just never lived up to the extension that we gave him. Maybe it was one too many injuries, whatever the reason was. I mean, he was losing playing time to people who just got there. And it wasn't, like, I know maybe some people think, oh, well, Vic Fangio was kind of weird with the personnel anyway. This was a very clear drop-off in performance. And he just wasn't the same player. And one of the best things he did, especially when he first got here, when we went 10-6, Brian Flores' second season, he was one of the best players on the team. He was a great run defender. And that he just never really recaptured that from that season. And I feel like he kind of progressively got worse. And yeah, it was just time to move on. He wasn't playing up to the contract. Ogbah had a lot of great moments as a Dolphin. I think my favorite one would probably be the strip sack against the Rams that Van Ginkel picked up and returned for a touchdown. I'm pretty sure that was Emmanuel who forced the fumble. He was, he had some good moments. But if you look at the people in front of him, I mean, they're better. I mean, Van Ginkel, Bradley, and Jalen, obviously. And now I think we can get to the big news. Dolphins to release cornerback Xavier Howard. This comes from Pro Football Rumors. It's a necessary thing. Honestly, it sucks that X is going to play in a different team with a different team. That sucks. But when you look at where the team is at this point, they've been preparing for this since last year, obviously drafting Cam Smith. By the way, that was their first pick that they could have made, was a corner. And that kind of shows you the team kind of saw this coming. And they've been, that's been rumored for a long time with Chris Greer and Xavier's relationship. So that finally happened this year, in a year that it had to happen, because the Dolphins have to retain some of their young players like Christian Wilkins and Andrew Van Ginkel, and hopefully they can still somehow get Connor Williams and Robert Hunt on a deal, because those players are really good and they're young. So it had to happen. It sucks. X has been here for many years. Seen a lot of bad seasons, a lot of great seasons. Is he the greatest Dolphins corner of all time? I think he probably is. If you look at his best seasons were in 2018, 2020. We had 7 and 10 interceptions. He was a first-team All-Pro in 2020. I believe he was also second-team All-Pro in 2018. So he was a great player. He was one of the few players in Dolphins history that could be one-on-one with the other team's best offensive player. And he truly took them out of games I mean, if you look at his career against great receivers, the numbers are like really pretty amazing. And he was always great. He was fun to watch. I remember when the Dolphins picked him, a lot of people hated the pick because he was coming out of a Big 12 school, obviously in Baylor, and those teams suck at defense. And I remember all of that, and then he turns into one of the best Dolphins of all time. And it sucks. I mean, he had 3 playoff appearances in his career as a Dolphin. We didn't win a ton. He did have let's see. He had 3 double-digit win seasons as a Dolphin. One in 2016, his rookie season. 2020 or 2021. I think it was 2021. And then, obviously, in this past season in 2023. So, definitely wish we could have seen him on better teams than we got to see him. I think my favorite Xavier Howard play, this is a tough question. I think the thing that I don't know. He's made a lot of plays in big moments too. I would say my favorite is beating the Patriots on Monday Night Football. I think that was 2017. Or maybe it was 2018. When he picked off Tom Brady twice. And they were beautiful interceptions. That deep post he intercepted. And we ended up... That was 2018. And we ended up beating them with Jay Cutler. That was a great game. He never really played... he never really got an opportunity to do anything in bigger games because of, obviously, and I'm sure there's a play that I'm forgetting, like a big play. I mean, the Denver Broncos, that was another great game that he had against the Broncos in the same season in 2018. That was probably his best season. I don't know. I mean, 2020. I mean, when he had 10 interceptions, that was crazy as well. But he was a great Dolphin and a great player. And really adds to Chris's, resume as a GM. I think people that... When you look at all-time Dolphins GMs, you just look at their track record. Chris is climbing that list. As much as people give him, hate him for whatever reason, I mean... his resume is actually not bad. And when you look at some of the picks that he has made that people don't love, love it or hate it, he does have excuses for the reasons those players were picked because of some of the other people that were running the organization at the time. But he's picked some great players. In his time as the Dolphins. I mean, Laramie Tunsil and Xavier Howard in the same draft is pretty amazing. And so he's picked great players. He's missed on very few, if you think about it. I think his biggest misses, it's not even close. It's Igbenogany and Charles Harris. But I don't know if Charles Harris was his fault. So, just a great Dolphin. And I don't know. And then obviously to add on to this story... Which was even, not that we didn't know this, but obviously Jalen Ramsey had comments about it and said that he wishes that they were used in the right way. And when he said that, I immediately thought of the Titans game. That's a great example of our players are better than yours, and we should have played the Titans like that, and we didn't. Similar to how we played the Patriots at home. It's weird that Vic did that sometimes and then he didn't do it other times. But in a game like that, you would think, okay, let's just put Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard in man coverage the entire game. And play too deep. Our defensive line can dominate them up front. They don't need extra help in the box. It's one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. It's pretty easy, and he never adjusted to the team. Sometimes he did, but he never adjusted to the other team's personnel and took advantage of what he should have taken advantage of. And that, as soon as Jalen Ramsey said that, the first thing I thought about was that Titans game. It was like, yeah, we would have won that game if he didn't do what he did defensively. And we would have won the division. Would have been the AFC champions. That's the first thing I thought about. It kind of bummed me out. But it would have been nice to see them played in a system. Like if Brian was our coach still, and I'm not talking about Josh Boyer. I think if Brian Flores would have taken control of that defense, it would have been fun because that's the kind of style that I would have liked to have seen them play in. Is like a lot of 2 deep man coverage, which would have been fun to see them in that style. And maybe we'll never get that because he's moved on, but who knows, maybe Cam Smith is the guy, and can kind of develop into a great player as well. And we can kind of see that under Anthony Weaver a little bit more with Jalen Ramsey, but this needed to happen. I mean, the Dolphins are over the cap. They needed to make cap space, and I think when you look at he's 30 years old, and they need to retain their young talent, especially on the defensive side of the football. And Christian Wilkins cannot be anywhere else but in a Miami Dolphins uniform at this point in his career. So I hope these moves are made to get those people back under contract. And only time will tell what the team does. But I actually trust, out of every organization, I trust this group of people more than any of that I ever have as a fan. I really do. I trust them, and I trust their decision making. They've been right a lot of the times, even when I thought maybe that wasn't the best move. Devon Achane's a great example of that. Austin Jackson, keeping him, I hated it, and then I think we all did until it worked. So I trust Mike and I trust Chris to build a great team, and more than any other franchise. They've accomplished a lot, and Mike is a great head coach and has accomplished a lot as his first 2 seasons in Miami. But this is the most interesting offseason. I cannot wait. I wish I could fast travel or speed time up till probably September or August, just to see okay, what did we do? Because I just want it to happen. There's so many things that could happen this offseason to completely change the direction this team's going in, and I'm just so interested to see how they react to what they saw last year. Because there's so many ways you can look at it and so many different directions you can take the team to make it better. And the draft capital, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, the Dolphins don't. They do. They have 2 first. As long as you have 2, they even have a 3rd round pick. And this draft is so good that I'm really excited about this offseason. And I hope we can get someone that, there's a lot of players that I love in this draft, and a lot. And I think the Dolphins are in a really good position to kind of capitalize on that. So it sucks X is gone, but this is the first 2 moves of the offseason, and I agree with him so far. And it's going to come down to what they do with those moves. And the opinion of a lot of people is, oh, the Dolphins should take a corner in the first round. I'm not one of those people. I don't agree with that. Cam Smith was supposed to be his replacement. So, and he has said himself he would rather not play inside. So I don't think they're going to take a corner unless they really think Cam Smith is awful. If they take a corner in the first round, then I'm going to really question Cam Smith as a talent going into the regular season. Because that's not great if that's what they do. I don't think they will. I think Jalen Ramsey and Cam Smith will be your starting outside corners next season, and I actually feel pretty good about that. I think that that's a pretty good lineup. They have to fix the middle of the field. That's the biggest issue. And they have to, depending on how the season goes, figure out what the edges are going to be on defense, because if these guys are coming off major injuries, who's going to hold down the fort the first month of the season? So those are things that they're going to have to figure out. But in terms of defensively and fixing issues, it starts with slot corner and middle linebacker. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. I mean, those were huge holes last season that they have to fix some way. Like, they have to improve it a little bit. And maybe they can get a mid-level guy who can come in and play the slot position. We broke down a lot of people who could do that. So, it's going to be interesting. Don't think there's anything else. There's something else that I wanted to bring up that is escaping me currently. I'm trying to think. No, I think we pretty much covered it. Oh, the Jalen Waddle stuff. The Jalen Waddle, weirdly, like the Tyreek said, he quoted as saying that trading Jalen Waddle, and I guess there were trade rumors about it. I think this had started with Mike Tannenbaum saying that he would trade Jalen Waddle for Trent McDuffie, which is, yeah, that's why you're Mike Tannenbaum. I love Trent McDuffie, but he's not a better player than Jalen Waddle. And he's not more important to the team than that would be one of the worst trades in one of the worst trades in Dolphins history. Seeing Jalen Waddle in a Kansas City uniform scoring touchdowns every Sunday, I would think I would drive myself crazy. And I'm like, this is like, of course, Mike Tannenbaum would say that. So I think that's where those rumors came from. Because I tried to look into it. I'm like, where are these rumors even coming from? And I couldn't find. And Trent McDuffie, coming out of college, out of Washington, one of my favorite players. And he is still one of my favorite players in the NFL. But I would not trade him for Jalen Waddle. And I really do think, I think he's a great player. And I don't think I would. I know I wouldn't. I've said this many times. Jalen Waddle is one of my favorite Dolphins in recent memory. And one of the best. I mean, dude, God forbid we ever get someone like a cornerstone piece like him and just aren't able to keep him for a long time. Same thing with Minka. I mean, I remember Minka's first year, and I loved Minka. And I don't know why there was like this bus narrative that wasn't true. And this is how delusional people are. They just believed it because they're ignorant and they didn't actually watch anything. And it's like, think about if we had him for couple more years. That was another great Chris Greer draft pick, but yeah, trading for Jalen Waddle was dumb. Or trading Trent McDuffie for, I think Chiefs fans would probably like spontaneously combust if that happened, because that would completely, that would fix every problem that they've had and they wouldn't lose a step. And then meanwhile, we're stuck with Trent McDuffie for the next whatever minute. And then we're like, oh, yeah. Nice seeing Jalen Waddle in his first Mount Hall of Fame speech. Jalen Waddle I hope he retires a Dolphin. I really do. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Covered everything. But funny that Mike Tannenbaum still says stupid stuff like that. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, a lot of stuff Dolphins, I think, fans have to look forward to. Very big off season, and I think the next video, or maybe when we get closer to the draft, I'll break down my favorite draft players. I hope the Dolphins will pick, because there's a lot of them, and a lot of really good players. That's it. Hope you guys enjoyed.